Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Farscape Season 2, Episode 7, Home on the Remains. The crew search for work and food to prevent starvation and worse. I didn't really know how to summarize this episode.
That's good enough.
What did you think of this one?
I thought it was pretty good, not great, and yep, that's it.
I also thought this one was kind of mediocre in some ways, but I thought it had a lot going on. In a good way, that is.
The plots that they smashed together here seem like they could be their own episodes.
So what plots do you mean?
I mean, Zan becoming a threat, and the others on that planet dealing with that creature.
They were not on a planet.
Whatever.
On the Budong. Yeah, they're working in the mines and Zan's becoming sort of fluffy. I thought those plots worked fine as a sort of A-B plot. I thought the whole thing with the Budong, the giant dead body, and Chiana's past didn't kind of fit well into it, which is fine. They don't have to fit together.
I didn't care about any of that stuff.
Rigel and his gambling debt, that's a plot thread that just went nowhere.
That was strange, because they continued it for a little bit. He's digging for the rock thing, and then that's it. I liked the Chiana stuff at the very beginning, because one thing this episode does well is keeps making things worse. And okay, she has an inn with someone in this mining town. Oh, that person is dead. Now what? So I liked it just for that. I kind of wish they stopped right there, but it was okay.
I wasn't too hot on that stuff. I like the Budong. I like the idea of a giant, like colossal creature in space.
They don't do anything with that idea, though. They present it, and it's there, and then
it's dead. Yeah, not much came of it, but I liked it conceptually. Like, I think even colossal is not a sufficient word to describe it. So getting to the point of a sort of classic sci-fi megastructure type thing. Moyo was tiny compared to one of its teeth. Relating to what you were saying about things getting worse, the crew were starving.
yeah, that's pretty bad.
That rarely happens in sci-fi.
I know things are usually super great in the future, and they don't have to worry about food. This wasn't a sudden plot contrivance either. They alluded to diminishing supplies before, so they actually led up to this. It wasn't just let's make them suddenly starving, so we have a plot.
It's been approaching for a long time. I think even in season 1 they were talking about how they only had food cubes at some points. And in this season we've had the crackers, obviously, and John was looking through all the cupboards in the previous episode trying to find food. I guess their bank balance has run out and they are now poor.
Yeah, they all need to get jobs. They're all lazy.
They have to grow up.
Freeloaders. I'll tell you one major thing I didn't like about this episode, and that's the reveal, I guess. It's not really a reveal, that guy, who's the main guy with the scar?
Besog?
Besog. All right. So the reveal that he's behind the bad stuff happening. I mean, they either outright said it early on or just heavily implied it. Whatever. I had that in my mind very early on in the episode. And then when it turned out that was the case, it was very mundane. I thought something else was going to be going on and that it was a red herring, but it was so strange for Farscape to just what something appeared to be is exactly what it was.
I don't think it states early on that he's a bad guy, but he seems like a bad guy. It's confusing because he closes the mine due to the creature, the Kivda. But he seems to be making no attempt to reopen the mine, and then he takes their weapons away and doesn't seem interested in getting rid of it. So in that sense, he appears like a bad guy because it's unclear what he's doing.
He always, from the moment you meet him, he seems like a bad guy.
Well, he's manipulative as well.
Plus, he wants Chiana as a pet, so then he has that grossness about him.
Yeah, he was a real charmer. So he got hit by a pustule. That's the scene. Okay, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, that was gruesome.
Oh yeah, well the actual acid melting his hand away was just almost unwarranted. It's very, very gory for this show.
I was shocked. My eyes went wide when that happened.
And
There's
his hand as well. Whenever stuff happens to hands, it always feels really like you can really associate with it.
the flesh just falls away.
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. This episode actually in the UK got an 18 rating. I don't know what that is in American terms.
I don't know. That doesn't mean anything to me.
You have to be 18 to purchase it.
Okay.
So is it like R or something?
Yeah.
Which makes it the highest rated episode to date of Farscape.
That's no surprise.
Yeah, for that one extremely violent scene. There was other stuff that was pretty gruesome in this one. Well, maybe not gruesome, but violent. When Altana gets torn up by the beast.
Oh yeah.
Just throws her down on the ground and she goes limp. Oh, and the guy at the start, Timon.
Oh yeah.
Timon?
Timon and Pumbaa?
Timon. He was fairly gored up, but that was seen briefly.
And then Chiana finishes them off.
Yeah, which later on he says, Chiana, you're not a killer. I'll ignore the fact you already killed someone.
Mercy killings don't count.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I want to talk about that Chiana not being a killer scene.
This is a good opportunity.
Chiana's reaction was interesting. It didn't seem like she intended to shoot the pustule.
I didn't even consider that.
Well, she's not prepared to shoot him dead. Why would she be prepared to cause an incredibly torturous and long death for him? Surely that's way worse.
Poetic irony because of he killed his brother with the same acid.
It's different acid. It's the same kind. Yeah. She says she's not a killer. I think she was pushing herself to shoot him in the face, and then the pustule blew up on his arm, and that was good enough.
So she thought, that works.
That's the look on her face that I saw. What's your take on it?
I don't remember her face specifically. I think I was still reeling from the melting hand.
She looked a bit shocked, but numb. She didn't look pleased with herself, anyway.
Because I can't remember her face. I'm going to make up what her face looked like in my head. And I see her as surprised by her actions. This is a meaningless thing to say.
Yeah, that doesn't really fit. You should make it up in your head again. No, we don't. John mentions Captain Kirk.
Oh, yeah. Because he's fighting a goofy alien thing.
Yeah.
At first, I thought the creature was creepy, and that's when they barely showed it, and it was obscured by shadow, and it was mostly you hear it growling. And then we get to see these extended shots of it, and it looks kind of ridiculous.
It looks good in some shots, but some it doesn't. Farscape is the kind of show where they've got such good costumes, puppetry, and makeup, and to an extent special effects as well, that they don't need to hide the monster to make it scary sometimes. They've made some really creepy monsters in the show. I think this one kind of worked. It relied a lot on being a kind of animalistic, like a abominable snowman kind of thing. Like it needed longer limbs or something to really look freaky, but that's something that's quite hard to do. So I liked it in places. I like the face of it.
Yeah, I didn't hate the creature, and I think it mostly worked.
You can kind of really quickly scan the shape of something, so you can easily see it's a person in a suit.
Yeah.
Like humans are just good at picking out other humans. That's why I think if it had like longer limbs or legs that bent the other way or something, it would suddenly be a lot more effective. I don't know how they would do that, but I think it needed something like that.
Okay, in that fight, what was John doing with the flashlight?
I was going to get onto this. So, well, he was startling the creature. He wanted to startle it so it would stop in the doorway so he could crush it.
Okay, that wasn't clear to me. Because
It wasn't particularly clear.
I didn't see the creature react to it, really.
I don't know if it even did.
Did it even have eyes? I thought I just saw lumps there, and I got the impression that the creature actually couldn't see. But maybe I made
Perhaps.
that up. In fact, I did make it up because they didn't say this.
Well, yeah, that's the giveaway, I guess. He maybe just tried the flashlight thing to try something. So to tie it all back to the Captain Cook comment, when Luke Skywalker, who's a character in a thing called Star Wars, has
So I've
to
heard.
fight the Rancor beast and ends up crushing it in the door.
Oh, right.
So the way I took that's enough of this Captain Kirk stuff was that then he pulls off a complete Star Wars maneuver. There's a bit of a meta joke in the show. That might not be the case, but that's how I interpreted it.
That makes a better case for the flashlight. He has a weapon of light. Although I don't think Luke has his lightsaber there.
No, he doesn't. That's generally not how you feed someone to a creature. Captain Kirk.
Spock.
Whoa.
Are we just naming Trek characters?
I don't know. I take issue with his Captain Kirk comment.
You are talking about it a lot.
If anything, well, because Kirk isn't very diplomatic in a lot of situations. He is. He does try and talk things out, but he will fight.
So why do you take issue with the comment?
Because he did what Captain Kirk would do. He tried. Well, in some sense, being diplomatic, giving the creature meat, trying to dissuade it. And then, once diplomacy failed, he took direct action to preserve himself and his crew.
Now that you bring it up, that doesn't make sense that he said that at that moment.
Yeah, Captain Kirk wouldn't have sat there and continued to try and dissuade the beast. He would have been punching it in the face.
I don't understand what he's trying to suggest about Captain Kirk now.
Let's just say John hasn't watched that much Star Trek.
I think it's a dig at Kirk in that enough of trying this stuff that doesn't work, I'm going to actually save the day. But that doesn't make sense because Kirk saved the day many times.
Okay, there are situations where Kirk favored diplomacy over self-defense. But in this situation, Kirk would have been punching that thing. He would have had his shirt off. He would have been punching it in the face. He probably would have got like scratches across his chest where it's clear they just put like red paint on and claw mark shape.
With his uniform torn just so.
Yeah. To switch to a completely different subject, I saw a boom mic.
I didn't. You win.
Hooray! It's visible for about 1/10 of a second. During the scene where Aaron's trying to mix up a potion to help Zan, and Zan's trying to tell her which vials it is, but then she blanks.
Yeah.
So to talk about that storyline, it's another episode where Aaron tries to do science and does okay.
It's just a matter of following directions. Give her the right directions and she can do it. Peacekeepers are good at following orders.
It's the kind of storyline that is helped by not getting much screen time, so we don't think too much about the amount of time that they had to talk about things.
Wait, what?
Well, because Zan was talking to Aaron, presumably for hours and hours. So Zan presumably said, like, I will become unresponsive and aggressive. And Aaron could say, well, what should I do? So I mean, it makes sense that Aaron is trying what she thinks might help, but only if you consider that they had no prior discussion. Like, because the crew were away on the Budong for days, like at least 2 days.
My concept of timing in this episode was totally destroyed because the stuff on the Budong felt way longer than the trouble with spores.
It did. I don't know exactly how the time breaks, so I would have thought about 2 days or something. But at the start of the episode, Zan is still completely lucid. Is that the word, lucid? Yeah.
She has a couple pimples. And that's it.
So at no point from then until she became completely unresponsive did she make any suggestion about what might be a good idea.
Slipped her mind.
Presuming she knows. I mean, I guess she knew because she knew that she needed to eat meat.
The immediate action to take was to give her animal protein. And so she was focused on that and hadn't considered, what if I get progressively worse?
But she had hours, like days. This is a minor thing, and you could apply this to lots and lots of B-plots.
I don't think it's that minor.
Well, the pacing's fine, but the timing, the scheduling of how all this fits together is a bit questionable. I did like Zan's sort of budding thing and all the spores in the air.
I like that too. It was strange. I like strange things.
Yeah, it's all kind of fungusy.
So this episode means so we're talking about the timeline of just this episode while her condition is worsening, but she could have warned them as food supply became more scarce. Hey, when I get really hungry, this is what happens and this is what you need to do.
Yeah. Why didn't she? What?
Why did she wait until she became unresponsive? That's bad timing.
Uh-oh, bad timing. That's why I say it benefits from not getting that much screen time. It's like the old comedy thing about how things are only visible when they're on screen to the characters in the screen. Once an object or a person goes out of frame, they kind of cease to exist.
So there's no object permanence in space?
In sort of television plot lines, object permanence is not mandatory. They nearly nuked Zan.
Nah.
Well, yeah.
We know there's no chance of that happening, and I'm glad they didn't pretend like that happened for too long.
It would be weird to do that 2/3 of the way through the episode, because then the last 1/3 of the episode would kind of be meaningless.
Hey, a main character died, but check out this other stuff.
Yeah, hurry up and get food, but don't rush too much, I guess. Also, they're dead, RIP.
And they suffered an off-screen death.
Yeah, a really arbitrary off-screen death. I hate it when characters die, but then they sort of emotionally trick the viewer.
What do you mean?
They're not dead after all. It was all a trick.
Oh,
Like it happened in Picture, if you will, with Chiana, but sometimes I'm okay with it, but all the time I find it cheap. So I'm glad they didn't linger on that and try and make it super sad. Aaron just said, "Oh, sorry about this."
yeah. There wasn't any ceremony, which was good.
It's frustrating when they drag that out, especially when it's very, very predictable that the character is not dead. Then again, it is Farscape. You never know when they'll just be weird and off a main character halfway through an episode.
The saddest part would be Aaron's reaction. I guess you're dead. Anyway.
It'd be really awkward when the rest of them come back. Hey, we finally got some meat. Yeah, I kind of flushed that out in Epilogue. What?
But this food is delicious.
John made a reference to chopping his own arm off.
Haha, Pilot.
Yeah, he's still angry about Pilot.
One day, Pilot will get his revenge.
John will get Pilot's revenge for him one day.
This episode has one of the most disturbing scenes, if not the most disturbing scene in the series so far. And also a scene that made me laugh really hard. And that's when John bites Rigel. It's really weird that both of those are in the same episode.
I love how puerile the crew can act. It's good because people do act like idiots, especially when a bunch of stuff happens and they're all wound up. Do you have a quote from this episode?
I'll have you know that I'm an excellent cheater. I'm just not at my best right now.
You like Rigel quotes?
He has so many good ones. Even in this one, he also said, "Is he edible?" Which got a good laugh out of me. He's often there just to chuck these one-liners.
He often offers a differing opinion or a witty remark to rile everyone up.
Because really, why would he accompany them on the Budong? What is he going to offer?
He's probably a good trader.
Yeah, there's that.
He's a good negotiator, or he fancies himself as a good negotiator. He probably is a good one. He's a great gambler.
I don't like that he lost. It shattered the illusion in my head that he's unbeatable, and if he's losing, it's on purpose.
But the other guy cheated.
Yeah, but he was cheating too, and he should know a cheater and best any cheaters.
There's a limit to what you can do. If you're playing Monopoly against someone and they just reach over to the bank and scoop out a huge wad of money.
You scoop out more.
No, but you can't do that because they'll say don't do that. It's not fair. He was presumably cheating in a subtle and unnoticeable way.
More sophisticated cheating.
Yeah, which will probably give you more minor gains. Like just a small edge over your opponent. I have a little quote that I like from this episode.
Go ahead.
You can eat anything as long as it's fried.
Are you a big fan of fried food?
Not really, but I love that quote. Next time you get into a conversation where someone debates whether something is edible, just use that one.
I am in that argument all the time.
Yeah, it comes up a lot, which is why I like that quote. Because you can eat anything as long as it's fried. Except the Dentics, which make their return, by the way. The little bugs he was brushing his teeth with in season 1.
Oh, okay. I was trying to think of where have we seen them before.
Turns out they're revolting to eat, which is consistent with evolutionary biology. Shall we move on to the next episode?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it.
Doing it.